back in Trenton with busloads of students and staff and community members with other districts that are protesting the state aid cuts. The last time we were here to testify. We're not sure that Trenton heard us, so today there's a meeting with the Commissioner of Education who's going to speak and answer questions from the Senate. We want them to see that the cuts represent real people, real programs, kids, impact, and that the state aid formula is unfair. That's really what we want to get out of this. We want the hearing, the discussion at the Senate and the Assembly to expose the problems with that funding formula, to really dig into it, to answer those questions. We don't want this to be school versus school. We're not looking for anybody else to lose. We're also looking for just fair aid across the board. And the cuts in Toms River are devastating. We're here, we're not going to give up because we're talking about, over 5 years, probably several hundred staff members, and that's just going to devastate our district. And it's for no good reason that anybody can really fathom.
I think this is a proud moment for the state of New Jersey and New Jersey's education. As Mike put it, maybe even historic, where so many key stakeholders that are responsible for the well-being of parents, teachers, students are here today to support one cause, and that is children. And after all, that's why we're all here today, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of it. My name is David Healy, and I proudly serve as the superintendent of the Toms River Regional Schools. We are here today on behalf of 75 SOS districts and the Toms River Regional School District, representing 15,200 students and 2,700 full-time and part-time staff members. Toms River will lose $83 million cumulatively in the next 6 years, including $2.8 million this upcoming year because of the state aid cuts in Senate Bill S2. The S2 bill was touted as a measure to move money from overfunded school districts to underfunded school districts. However, the formula that determines a district's status as over or underfunded, and specifically as it relates to the distribution of the now $6.5 billion in equalization aid, is critically flawed. Critically flawed. First, the aid formula uses equalized property valuations and personal income to determine a community's ability to pay. But the property wealth figures do not include the billions of dollars in payment in lieu of taxes or pilots. And many years before S2, in 2010, state leaders were provided by the state controller at the time, Matthew Boxer, with a comprehensive controller's report which identified that such tax abatements would skew the property wealth for school aid allocations. Why so many years later has this still not been addressed? Second, the property wealth figures in the formula cannot be relied upon. For the 30-plus towns, which is the last count in the state, that have not had a legally required property revaluation in more than 25 years. Third, when attempting to fully analyze the property and income wealth calculators in the formula, the New Jersey Department of Education denied us. They denied New Jersey School Boards Association. They denied the New Jersey Association of School Business Administrators. They denied the New Jersey Association of School Administrators of an open public records request, claiming that the computer program making the allocations is proprietary. So $6.5 billion in equalization aid, which is approximately 17% of the entire state budget, and this lack of transparency is deeply unsettling, especially since the property rate or multiplier in the formula rose 49.2% from 2008-9 to 18-19, while the income rate only increased 1.6%. Something is clearly not making sense, and we want to know why. Governor Phil Murphy, during his 2018 budget address, publicly stated that the funding formula, last revised in 2008, is outdated and requires, in his words, modernization. Commissioner Repollet echoed the governor's comments during his March 2018 confirmation hearing. Additionally, the governor assured all of us that there would be no losers in his budget. I attended both events and was reassured by this until July 13th, 2018, literally the 11th hour, when we learned that our district would lose $2.4 million on our way to in excess of $83 million in cumulative losses. Meanwhile, the New Jersey Department of Education already had approved our budget. Our budget was adopted at our Board of Education meeting. And now today, as I stand here and planning our 2019-20 budget, we're losing another $2.8 million, again on our way to $83 million in cumulative losses. Meanwhile, the outdated and flawed formula remains and is now adversely affecting over 30% of New Jersey's student population, 10% represented through this SOS coalition. While I stand here this morning in solidarity with my Support Our Students cohorts, our parents, our administrators, Board of Education members, legislators, and districts statewide, I must direct some examples specifically towards Toms River, as I know the details intimately. Because our tax levy is lower than our local fair share, some have concluded that we're not taxing enough. The truth is, we tax less because we spend less. Toms River is the second lowest total in cost per pupil, large district in the state of New Jersey. But if we spent at just the state average in terms of total cost per pupil, our tax levy would be higher than our local fair share. The current funding formula does not account for this, thereby making us a victim of our own efficiency and seemingly penalizing us. Some would argue that a decrease in enrollment should simply correlate to a decrease in state aid, thereby justifying draconian cuts in state aid. But if you use Toms River as just one example, our low total cost per pupil and the over $50 million we are now below adequacy, that's based on current enrollments. So when you hear out there in the various blogs and the editorials that districts like Toms River and Lenape and Hillsborough and Freehold Regional are getting paid for phantom children, don't believe it. We don't receive money for children that we don't have. There are those that will say we're receiving money for children we had 10 years ago, when that's just not true. We have yet to fully recover $500 million of the more than $2.2 billion in tax rateable losses, 50% of all New Jersey losses from Hurricane Sandy. We lost over $2.2 billion in taxable rateable losses. We lost 10,000 homes and endured thousands of more in foreclosures. As we sit here today, more foreclosures are happening as we speak. In fact, we lead Ocean County, we lead New Jersey, and we lead the United States of America in the percentage of foreclosures. And I saw in the paper yesterday that New Jersey is leading the country in the percentage of foreclosures, and Toms River happens to lead the state in that distinction. So when I said earlier about the phantom children and the numbers are based on children that we don't have, those numbers are based on current enrollments. And I repeat, what you hear is based on current enrollments, not phantom children. We don't receive money for children that we had 10 years ago, but there are those that want to say that, and that's just not true. We also rank #1 in Ocean County in homelessness and rank 8th in the state in homelessness. So our mission today here, my mission, our mission, the children's mission, the staff, the board members, the community members, has been going on for a while. And it's to convince the state leaders to immediately pause any cuts until the critical flaws in the state funding formula are fixed. We respectfully request that a joint legislative committee be immediately convened with an aggressive timeline to evaluate the concerns with the local fair share calculators and the calculation of the district's adequacy budget, and to provide recommendations to the full legislature. As many of you are aware, this is not the first time we've been at a press conference. In fact, this has been going on, at least for Toms River, for the better part of 5 years. We've been doing this for about 5 years. And we've outlined the facts. This isn't the first time we've outlined the facts. Long before S2 was passed, we tried to convince state leaders to examine the flaws in the funding formula and to get to the root of the problem to ensure fair funding for all New Jersey students moving forward, to avoid what is taking place right now. We refer to today as the Day of Reckoning. 5 years ago, we knew this was happening. We offered to be partners with the legislature, with the Department of Education, to find solutions and not just present the problems. Yet that offer fell on deaf ears. We've relayed the facts today through correspondence with numerous legislators, no fewer than 10 times from January 2016 to 2018, up until today, and again, that has fallen on deaf ears. But this time, this year, and as Mike had mentioned, on March 5th, we had about 4,000 people in this very spot. 95% of them were children. After all, I'm going to remind everybody here, that's what we're here for. None of us would be standing here if not for this group back here or the children throughout New Jersey. Make no mistake about this. This is a child-centered effort, not an adult-centered effort, a child-centered effort. And as I said, I'm incredibly hopeful based on our children and the children of the state and the tens of thousands of letters written by our students that are being delivered right now to the Senate Budget Committee and the Commissioner of Education as we speak. Handwritten letters by our children, by our parents, by our faculty, and our community. So I stand beside our children, Toms River's children. If you would all please make yourself known here, Toms River. And the children of New Jersey. As I said, it was our children, nearly 4,000 of them, who on March 5th led a rally right here to oppose the state aid cuts, which is the only action in the last 5 years that has resulted in a request for dialogue by state leaders. It has come to this. Logic does not prevail. The voices of our important stakeholders seems to make the most impact, and that's why we are here. It is our students who represent the future of Toms River, the state of New Jersey, and the United States. Everything we do is student-centered because student achievement, student safety, and student well-being is our mission. So our question, my question, and your question should be, we have a lot of cameras here, your question should be, this has to be the question, is what is the mission of our state leaders? Ask that question if it leaves in the wake hundreds of thousands of vulnerable students. Ask that question. Hundreds of thousands of vulnerable students. This is not student against student, but why should some students, hundreds of thousands, be less important than other students? And that's what's taking place right now. So, if the mission of the state leaders is to leave in its wake tens of thousands of vulnerable students for whom achievement, security, and well-being is compromised, then I don't think that's really what the mission was intended to be, and I don't think that S2 was designed to do that. And I think there are a number of unintended consequences that exist that need to be addressed right now. So in Toms River, we sit on the precipice of eliminating 400 staff members in the next 6 years, 85 this year alone. I met with 200 non-tenured teachers, letting them know that it's possible that many of them will not be here next year. And there'll be sweeping cuts to core services, programs, and drastically increasing class sizes in excess of 40 students in a class. In terms of Toms River and other districts in New Jersey, our district will be unrecognizable, if not inoperable. So these decisions that are affecting these districts and these children are based on a critically flawed formula. They have real faces and they have real life consequences, and many of them are here with us today. We must bring back in focus again why we are all here today. In terms of the state aid issue, none of us would be in this room if not for children. All children, our children. May we be reminded today whom we're here to serve, and may we reinstill in our children the confidence that justice and fairness is feasible, and the adults in their lives can be trusted to act in their best interests. There is only one side here, and that is the side of children. We respectfully implore Governor Murphy, Senate President Sweeney, Commissioner Repoulet, and the legislature to listen closely to our voices, remain open-minded, and take swift action based on a child-centered agenda before irreparable harm is done to hundreds of school districts and hundreds of thousands of children that we're entrusted to serve. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Michael, for putting the SOS Coalition together and the participating districts. Thanks to everyone for being here. We certainly appreciate it, and I'm very confident that the right thing will be done based on our efforts. We have two teachers, Karen Usenica and Jen Zeiser, who would like to speak on behalf of the teachers and some of the students.
Good morning. We're proud teachers of Toms River Schools who helped form the letter writing campaign that we have 30,000 letters to deliver today to address the shortfall in the state funding formula. We have the unwavering support of our community, our administration, our parents, our staff. And Toms River never blinked an eye. We never blink an eye when it comes to being there for our children or our schools. And the bottom line and driving force behind our campaign is our students and our children deserve the same opportunities that we had living in Toms River, New Jersey.
We have been considering the most effective ways to reach our governor and state legislature. Our administration has tirelessly made every effort to request support for our district, our children, and our taxpayers, yet nothing has changed. We teach our children, those students over there, every single day about speaking up for what is right and to be problem solvers. I felt and hoped that Governor Murphy would be more responsive to the 16,000 little voices of our Toms River school community. Our students, kindergartners, through seniors in high school have eagerly embraced the opportunity to become involved in the campaign to save our schools in replicating the miracle on 34th Street. 16,000 letters has turned into over 30,000 letters. We have been tweeting, emailing, calling, and writing with the hopes that Governor Murphy would acknowledge our students' pleas for help. Those students. Through this effort, we're proud to bring these letters, these 30-some-odd thousand letters to Trenton, and we look forward to hearing how Governor Murphy, Senator Sweeney, Dr. Repoulet, and the New Jersey Department of Education will address our students' concerns in regards to fair funding. Our students are worthy of a respect, of an acknowledgement, and a fair solution that will not rob them of the opportunities that they deserve.
Our message to the governor and those legislators is that it's not too late to fix this. They can enact a solution that will save not only jobs and students' well-being, but save him and other state leaders decades of heartache that was caused by a funding formula that's fundamentally flawed and guaranteed to compound. The decimation to Toms River and other communities throughout this state will be something that taxpayers statewide will see as his doing, all while he had the opportunity to be the fixer of the problem. Fix the problem, do what's right, and have the capability to help communities like Toms River and those in the SOS Coalition access the potential in their future, our children. Thank you.